Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah wa ba'd. Anwar Wright responds to Ibn Muneer. I thought long and hard before I decided to actually make this response because I saw it and I said, you know what, let me leave it. However, because this particular response is getting so much attention, and I sat and I made istikhara about it, and I said, you know what, let me just make a response to this brother Anwar and how he responds to Ibn Munir. I don't know Mufti Munir. I don't know Anwar Wright. Right? To be honest, I don't have any interest either way. However, because this particular situation, I am very aware of the reality of what is happening in the Salafi Dawah in the West. I've been Salafi for a very long time. And this is just to show the brothers as not, I don't consider it necessarily a refutation, but more of a, I consider this more of an elucidation into the methodology of the Sahaba itself so that nobody can have any doubt after this to see that these particular brothers have patterns which they use, they have a specific manhaj, and they have purpose and determination in order to polarize and divide Muslims in order for their own benefit. So, without further ado, let's get right into it.
Further from his calamities is that which we recently heard from him in Hyde Park in London, and his use of this term Abrahamic faith and affirming this term for the Christians. And when our brother Abu Iyad, he advised him about this blunder in Aqidah, his response was only arrogance. Where'd you study? What's your qualifications? Who are you? Instead of returning to the scholars for clarity in this issue, he does a Google search.
All right, so, alhamdulillah. So, what the brother's trying to say is that using the phrase Abrahamic faith is against the Aqidah of the Salaf. Anybody who hears this particular part will automatically detect the melodramatic, disingenuous language used by the brother Anwar to describe the brother Mufti in this particular affair, saying that he should not be using the term Abrahamic faith. First of all, anybody who speaks English understands the term Abrahamic faith. When you say Abrahamic faith, you're talking about Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. Nobody will ever disagree with that. And Sheikh Albani, rahimahullah, he has a nice lecture. It's an old lecture. I haven't heard it in many years, but basically, this lecture is called "The Obligation to Call Yourself Salafi." And in this particular lecture, he elucidates to the fact that he basically is going through the process with this one brother, and he's saying, "Well, do you follow the Quran?" He says, "Yes." "Do you follow the Sunnah?" "Yes." "Do you believe that you must follow the Quran and Sunnah with the understanding of the Salaf Salih?" He said, "Yes." Okay, so instead of saying I follow the Quran and the Sunnah with the understanding of the Salaf Salih, why don't you just say Salafi and be done with it? Same thing with Abrahamic faiths. Is Judaism a religion? Yes. Is Christianity a religion? Yes. Is Islam a religion? Yes. Well, instead of saying Judaism and Christianity and Islam, why don't you just say Abrahamic faith, right? However, there is one other glaring problem with this particular refutation of Mufti Munir. Not only is it, again, it's disingenuous at minimum, and it's also insincere. Let me show you the other big problem with this particular refutation.
So we have, for example, after the passing away of Noah, the prophets, the likes of the great and mighty prophet Abraham. And from Abraham, we have his two sons. We have Ishmael, and we have Isaac. Ishmael and Isaac were the two children of the prophet Abraham. And therefore you have the term which is modern, which is quoted in our times these days, that they call Islam, Christianity and Judaism as the Abrahamic faiths. They call them the Abrahamic faiths. Why? Because all these three religions that are present in our times today, and they are known as the religions of scripture, or sometimes known as the biblical religions, like Judaism and Christianity, that they regard Abraham to be the junction at which the religions came down, religions of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. This is what he said.
So, Anwar, if you're going to refute Ibn Munir on this point, why don't you try Abu Khadija first? You too, you also, Abu Iyad. And again, you built this brand of manhaj based upon you built this brand of Islam based upon refutations and disdain and contempt for Salafis and Muslims in general, without realizing eventually the chicken's got to come home to roost. And all you're gonna see is people coming out against you, not because of you refuting or jealousy or anything like that, but it's because you're just straight up wrong. And anybody who sees this, Anwar Wright responds to Ibn Munir and Abu Yad responds to Ibn Munir, and yet they still have yet to respond to Abu Khadija on the same point which he made, then what does that tell you about your intention? What does it tell you about your sincerity?
And such as his other major blunder in Aqidah when he said, if it was the will of God, if it was his will for a man to come down and to die upon the cross for the forgiveness and atonement of all people, then it could have happened. It's not impossible, but we don't believe it. It's possible, anything is possible. Another egregious error. And as our brother Abu Iyad pointed out, it agrees with the creed of the Jahmiyyah and the Asha'ira, Ahlul Bid'ah. And Shaykh al-Islam mentioned that the premise of this argument, the argument of the Christians, is describing dhulm to Allah, oppression to Allah. And this involves affirming for Allah what he is not firm for himself.
So, this brother Anwar, it's apparent that he's studied. And I don't know if he knows what the Jahmiyyah are or whatever, right? Or I don't understand if he knows what Aqidah is. But this is not a mistaken Aqidah. And at any rate, we'll just get to the proof right away. Just hold on.
لو أراد الله أن يتخذ ولدا لاصطفى مما يخلق ما يشاء سبحانه هو الله الواحد القهار.
If it was the will of God, if it was his will for one man to come down and to die upon a cross for the forgiveness and the atonement of all people, then it could have happened. It's not impossible. But we don't believe that.
No, that's fine.
Type. So here we have the evidence from the Quran, and right after the evidence from the statement from the brother Mufti Muneer. And as you can see, they are in harmony with each other. There is nothing wrong with that statement. You know, Shaykh al-Islam, Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, rahimahullah, he said in his book, Usul al-Thalatha, and it's extremely important Usuli book, right? And this is a very important point where he said, Bismillah, annahu yajibu alayna ta'alamu arba masail, right? May Allah have mercy upon you, that it's obligatory for you to have knowledge of four matters. الأولى العلم وهو معرفة الله ومعرفة النبي ومعرفة دين الإسلام بالأدلة. So you must have knowledge of Allah, and you must have knowledge of the Prophet, and you must have knowledge of the religion of Islam with proofs, right? So the whole point I'm trying to get here is that you have to have knowledge of Islam with the proofs, with the evidence, right? To go out and make a tabdi all willy-nilly like this. And the whole point of me doing this video is not so much for Anwar Wright, because in my opinion, I think he's far gone. If he can go this far to make a reputation, like a lackadaisical reputation such as this, without even fact-checking or reading a book, or he himself, he's basically obliging the brother Mufti to go and speak to the scholars. And he himself hasn't done it, because if he had actually done it, he wouldn't have fell into these blunders. However, at the same time, it's not so much for him; it's more for those cheerleaders or those people who are on the fence, who are watching all this unfold and are not sure what to do. Right. So after this, I mean, how can you watch a contradiction like this and say, okay, the brother is right? You can't do it. You just can't do it. So this is to bring clarity for all your people, right? So at any rate, let's continue to the last point, and this right here, I believe, in my opinion, is the most egregious and important point here.
Not Ibn Munir went further. As he said, and we said it before and we'll say it again, the Salaf Salih were no one, like this would emphasize in his voice. They were nobody, except for people who follow the Quran and Sunnah, period. MashaAllah. The Salaf Salih were no one. Faddallahu fa. May Allah close his mouth.
Okay, this right here is enough to say at a minimum that this particular brother is disingenuous, and at maximum he's a liar. Just this point over here. And I have no problem going before Allah saying the statement. I haven't heard the statement of Mufti Muneer saying, as this brother so eloquently put it, saying that the Salaf for no one, right? However, the reason why I know that he's either disingenuous or lying is because this brother attached, essentially being a Rafida Shia, to Mufti Muneer, hatred toward the Sahaba, hatred towards the Salaf Salih, and you can't hear a lecture of Mufti Muneer except that he's quoting from the Salaf, and he has a lot of respect for the Sahaba, which is essentially pretty much any Sunni Muslim in general. Any Sunni Muslim in general reveres the Sahaba. So for him to take the speech of Mufti Muneer out of context in this level and to put his own spin on it proves exactly what? It proves that you can be dishonest? Because that's all I see. Allah says in the Quran, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ, woe be unto those who make salah. He said it. Allah said that in the Quran. Allah said in the Quran that woe be on those people who make salah. Right? Is anybody deny that this ayah is in the Quran? No. So if I say to the Muslims now, فَوَيْلُ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ, without giving it any context, you're going to think that maybe I shouldn't pray because Allah said in the Quran, فَوَيْلُ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ, right? But of course it has context. And he even mentioned the context. However, I don't understand how anybody cannot catch this, right? Allah says in the Quran, فَوَيْلُ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ, that they were unmindful of their prayers. الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ, okay? They did good deeds just to be seen. That's it. Sort of like, what's going on here? And it's not even a good deed anyway. This is namima. This is nima wa ghiba. It has nothing to do with any refutation or clarification or anything like that. You make a refutation based upon Abrahamic religions, bro. Abrahamic religions. That's what you're going to refute somebody for? Literally trying to make people think that Mufti Muneer does not like the Sahaba, like a Rafida Shia. I challenge anybody actually to come and say that, yeah, bro, you're lying. This is a lie here. This is a lie here. This is a lie here. I want people to say that. I challenge you, right? Because as far as I'm concerned, the liar is plain as day. And the more people that are listening to these people, the more stifled the dawah will just get, because these people clearly have an agenda. Has nothing to do with Salafiyah at all, where you can go to the lengths of this to accuse anybody who was not a Rafida Shia of hating Sahaba, And then the ones who died said out so many years ago. What is that? You come in with you have to inject a little bit reality you have to inject a little bit of reality into your refutations, right? Realistically, who believes Mufti Muneer does not like the Sahaba? Realistically, even if everything else I said was could be explained or explained away or whatever, this one right here can't be explained away. You can't get away from this one because you're the one who made people. And I'm thinking, okay, well, no, definitely nobody will buy that, right? Nobody will buy that, right? Let me show you something, okay? Well, you can see in the comments, Barakallahu fikum to Anwar, to the uploader, clarification and refutation. Indeed, the situation is clear. Subhanallah, crystal clear. This is what you call crystal clear. Allah have mercy on the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is insane. This is insane. And nobody caught that. Nobody caught that. Seriously, out of all of you, the clarity. All these people. I read a sister. She even said, yeah, Mufti Muneer said the Sahaba are no one in the comments. And at the end of the day, bro, it's Ramadan, and you know that fasting breath that you get. You, Sa'abika, the only breath that you're going to be getting is the breath of eating the dead flesh of your brothers. And it's going to be pretty hard to find a toothpick to pick that dead flesh out of your teeth. And you're encouraging the masses of Muslims to get involved in your namima and ghiba. And you have to answer for that. For the rest of you who have minds, who think and who want to ask questions, those 3 points right there are enough to expose these brothers for what they really are. So look at here, bros and broettes. The only thing that really matters right now is that if you really believe that Mufti Muneer disparages the Salaf and disparages the Sahaba, come out and swear by Allah that you believe that this is his belief. If you could do that, then hey, all power to you. Furthermore, Anwar, aren't you like near Mufti anyway? Like, can't you, if you're really sincere, why don't you just go visit the brother and talk to him? Just go visit him. Talk to them. Hash it out, bro. But you're so close in proximity to this brother. You can't visit him, but you have enough time to go on YouTube and talk about how you can't visit him. Yeah. So the good thing about all this, excuse me, is the brother Mufti, he is racking up the good deeds. Because these brothers call themselves Salafi. I don't consider them Salafi. Let me be honest. They're just another group, one of the groups from the 72 groups. At the very minimum, you can say that this particular brother here, Anwar, he's a liar. He lied. Like, how can you put it any other way? Of the habitual nature of this type of ferocious bombardment of insults and refutations, which have nothing to do with anything. So they just grasping at straws, and drowning men. That's what they do. They grasp at straws. So you're going to refute somebody based upon saying Abrahamic religions or Abrahamic faiths, or and then you're accusing the brother Mufti Muneer, which I don't even have to go into his statements to know that this is a lie. I don't have to go, right? And I don't know him, and I know well enough that he does not hate the Sahaba. That's a lie. That's a straight up lie. And me personally, and this is actually from the manhaj of the Salaf, once a person is lying, you just don't take from them. They're matruk. In my opinion, this is enough to say that this brother shouldn't be taken from. Anybody now who is watching this can go back and forth and inspect everything I said and everything that was put forth and see who's telling the truth and who's not. Let them come and say before Allah, if they let them swear by Allah before His angels and the jinn and mankind that Mufti Muneer believes that the Sahaba are nobodies. Let them say that. If they can't do it, then why are you taking from them? It doesn't make no sense for me. Like for you brothers and you sisters who basically revere these people, you hold them in high esteem and respect. You have to now take a position. Are you going to take the position of the Salaf, or are you going to be in cahoots with these people? You've been bamboozled. How else can I put it to you? At any rate, I want to tell you a quick story about this sheikh. Now, I don't know how many of you know who Yahya al-Dhuhri is. Probably none of you have ever heard of him, but he was one of the biggest scholars at the time of Imam Bukhari, and he was a contemporary of Imam Malik, Muhammad Yahya al-Dhuhri. And to make a long story short, at this time, Imam Bukhari, his reputation was getting around, and he was invited to Yahya al-Dhuhri's masjid to give durus, Muhammad Yahya al-Dhuhri's to give durus. Not to his masjid, rather his students asked the Sheikh Yahya al-Dhuhri if they can go to Imam Bukhari's classes, and he gave them permission. Then, day by day, his classes, his durus would get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And eventually, Hasad entered into his heart. And he told his students that he heard that Imam Bukhari, believes that the Quran was created, right? This is what he said. And of course, at this time, the fitna of the Jahmiyyah was just beginning to die down, and people were refuting them everywhere, left, right, and center. And it was if somebody held this belief, then it would, at this time, Ahlul Sunnah were they had some quwwah, they had some strength with them. So he told them to go ask Bukhari if the Quran is created, and then ask Bukhari what about the what about the recitation of the Quran, right? Because he knows that Bukhari, he already understands that Bukhari is from Ahlul Sunnah. He doesn't hold the beliefs of the Jahmiyyah, right? But he wants to catch him and trap him, right? So they asked him, what do you say about the Quran being created? And then Imam Bukhari, he said that it is the speech of Allah. And then they asked him, like how Yahya al-Dhuhri told him, what do you say about the speech of the Quran? And Imam Bukhari, and he's the first one to ever say this, he said, our speech is created, but the Quran itself is not created. And that for them was enough to say that Imam Bukhari was a Jahmi, right? Most of you might not know this story, right? But at the time of Imam Bukhari, make a long story short, Imam Bukhari, rahimullah, he died alone. He died alone with very few students. The only I think only two people were with him. There was Imam Muslim and somebody else, I can't remember. But at any rate, you remember, the whole world knows who Imam Bukhari is, and nobody knows who Muhammad Yahya al-Dhuhri is because of this lie. And Allah gave izzah to Imam Bukhari, and you will not rarely find any Muslim household who has books except that they have Sahih Bukhari in their house. And nobody knows who the man who slandered Imam Bukhari is. And this manhaj is the manhaj of these people, the Sa'afika. There's no difference between them and their father, Muhammad Yahya al-Dhuhri. These 3 points are enough to expose who these people really are. Lack of sincerity, 100%. And that's just being nice about it, to be honest. If I really want to say what I think they're a bunch of liars. And I've been around the game for a long, long time, and I know for a fact that there's a good portion of the brothers in the hype. They lie, and they deceive people and they steal people's money. But that's all besides the point. The whole point is of this particular video is to show that they have belligerence and hostility towards the Muslims in general. And if you can't see it, you couldn't see it before, you should be able to see it now, because everything is side by side. So those who are sincere in the month of Ramadan, and they want to be, they're sincere upon following the truth. The truth is right in front of your face, right, from your brother. And like I said, I have no invested interest either way. I don't. And to me, because I've seen a lot of fitna from these brothers, like a lots of fitna, that's the main reason why I said, because the people are being affected by this. Over almost 5,000 views on this video. Just let me make a video to let the people know the truth. And may Allah accept your fasts. Subhanakallah wa hamdik wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.